May 1st, 2011. 24 Navy SEALs are about to attempt the most high-stakes raid in modern military history. They're flying into Pakistan to take out Osama bin Laden. But here's what's remarkable. Every single one of them has already completed this exact mission, hundreds of times. Not in reality, in their minds. Before those helicopters ever left the ground, the SEALs had dirt-dived every aspect of the operation. They'd built full-scale replicas of bin Laden's compound in North Carolina and Nevada. They'd mentally rehearsed everything that could go wrong and exactly how they'd respond. When one of their helicopters actually did crash during the real raid, the team didn't panic. They seamlessly adapted because they'd already lived through this scenario dozens of times. This is the power of what former Navy SEAL Kate Courtley calls emergency conditioning, making the unknown familiar. And today, you're going to learn how to weaponize your imagination to prepare for anything life throws at you. The science of mental time travel. Your brain has a peculiar quirk. It can't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize something in rich detail, your brain files it away as an actual memory. This isn't a bug in your mental software, it's a feature you can exploit. Emergency conditioning means conditioning the mind in advance of emergencies, thus producing psychological strength in times of crisis. This is also referred to as battle-proofing or battle inoculation by military personnel. Here's the remarkable part. If the brain imagines something in deep and vivid detail, it will become part of a person's experience files. This visualization exercise actually will fool the brain into believing that you already have experienced this event. Think about that for a moment. You can literally create experience without living through danger. You can build competence without risk. You can develop expertise in situations you've never actually faced. This isn't just military theory. Recent research in simulation-based training shows extraordinary results. Residents who participated in simulation training demonstrated significantly improved performance in real-life emergencies. They were quicker to recognize and respond to critical conditions and made fewer errors than their peers who underwent traditional training. But here's where it gets really interesting. Emergency conditioning goes far beyond simple visualization. It's a systematic protocol for uploading expertise directly into your subconscious mind. The architecture of preparation, how SEALs dirt dive reality. Navy SEALs have a term that sounds almost playful, dirt diving. But don't be fooled by the casual terminology. The SEAL platoon will dirt dive a mission to visualize every part of a mission before executing it. Visualization focuses their mind on what they can control and identify challenges. It inoculates fear because they've replayed all the scenarios, yet are highly trained to adapt to unforeseen events. When Admiral McRaven's team prepared for the bin Laden raid, he had his SEAL team visualize the mission hundreds of times. They mentally pictured everything that could go wrong, as well as what the victory would look like. But they didn't stop there. The team performed rehearsals of the raid in 2 locations in the U.S. Around April 10th at Harvey Point Defense Testing Activity Facility in North Carolina, where a 1-to-1 version of bin Laden's compound was built, and April 18th in Nevada. This is the SEAL emergency conditioning protocol in action. Multiple layers of preparation that transform the unknown into the familiar. Layer 1, mental rehearsal practice an event in your mind before attempting it. It could be a presentation, an awkward conversation, or gut-busting workout. But SEALs don't just visualize success. They specifically rehearse failure scenarios and their responses. Layer 2, physical simulation. When possible, create physical approximations of the challenge. Even simple props can dramatically enhance the mental rehearsal process. Layer 3, progressive stress inoculation. SEAL candidates are gradually exposed to intense stressors like grueling physical training, extreme temperatures, sleep deprivation, challenging terrain, water drills, and combat simulations. This progressive exposure is designed to condition their response, helping them stay calm, focused, and in control under extreme pressure. The genius of this system? By the time SEALs face a real emergency, it's not the first time. It's just the first time in actual reality. The neuroscience of familiarity. Why your brain craves the known. Your brain is fundamentally a prediction machine. It's constantly trying to anticipate what comes next, and it performs best when dealing with familiar patterns. When you encounter something completely unknown, your brain often defaults to fight, flight, or freeze responses. But emergency conditioning exploits a loophole in this system. You can tap into these files at will by hitting the play button that starts the movie of what you already have visualized and planned. Bud/S training involves daily intense adversity, continuous discomfort, and incredibly challenging obstacles that test the physical and mental resolve of SEAL candidates. Graduating from Bud/S requires candidates to remain in the moment and focus their efforts day by day, often hour by hour, and at times minute by minute, for 6 months, all elements of mindfulness. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you vividly imagine a scenario, you're activating the same neural pathways that would fire during the actual experience. You're literally creating muscle memory in your brain without moving a muscle. Modern research confirms what SEALs have known for decades. Virtual patients' vital signs were programmed to deteriorate over time if critical interventions were delayed, requiring participants to prioritize tasks dynamically. The controlled nature of VR training has proven particularly advantageous in healthcare, offering tailored, immersive simulations that closely resemble real-life emergency scenarios. But you don't need advanced technology. Your imagination, properly directed, is the most sophisticated virtual reality system ever created. The Emergency Conditioning Protocol, your step-by-step implementation guide. Here's how to implement the SEAL Emergency Conditioning Protocol in your own life. Phase 1, Scenario Identification. Days 1 through 3. List your top 5 potential emergency or high-stress scenarios. These might be job interview for your dream position, medical emergency with a family member, public speaking to a large audience, financial crisis requiring immediate decisions, relationship confrontation you've been avoiding. Be specific. Job interview isn't enough. Panel interview with 5 executives for senior management position, including hostile questions about my previous failure. That's emergency conditioning material. Phase 2, Intelligence Gathering, days 4 to 7. Research everything possible about your scenario. The operation came to fruition after 9 months of intelligence gathering. The SEALs had a specially built replica to train on, and they had every support they needed. For a job interview, research the interviewer's backgrounds, the company's recent challenges, typical questions for your role. For a medical emergency, learn basic first aid, identify nearest hospitals, know your family's medical history. Knowledge transforms panic into competence. Phase 3, Mental Rehearsal, days 8 to 21. This is where the magic happens. At SEALFIT, as a standard operating procedure, we have a pre-workout visualization like this. Find a quiet place to prepare our mind. Dirt dive exceptional performance, dominating every evolution, with a smile on our face as you help your teammates. But follow the SEAL approach. Don't just visualize success. Spend 70% of your time rehearsing what could go wrong and exactly how you'll respond. A soldier lying on his cot imagines a nasty firefight with the enemy, including what it will sound like and smell like, the heavy breathing and the utter exhaustion. Phase 4, Physical Simulation, days 22 to 28. Create physical approximations when possible. Practice your interview answers while standing. Do mock negotiations with friends. Role-play difficult conversations. They also rehearsed it live in a mock-up of the compound the terrorist was holed up in. When emergency conditioning saved lives. Real-world case studies. Emergency conditioning isn't just theory, it saves lives. During Operation Neptune Spear, when one helicopter crashed due to unexpected wind patterns caused by the compound's high walls, the mock-up rehearsals had only involved a fake compound with a chain-link fence, and this had evidently failed to replicate the kinds of dangers the pilots would face from the concrete walls of the real compound during the raid itself. But because the SEALs had mentally rehearsed countless contingencies, they immediately adapted. The mission continued without missing a beat. The entire operation, which lasted only 40 minutes from start to finish, was the culmination of years of calculated planning and training. Ultimately, bin Laden was found and killed within 9 minutes, and SEAL Team 6 was credited with carrying out a nearly flawless mission. In healthcare, this principle is revolutionizing medical training. The University of Miami's Gordon Center implemented a comprehensive simulation-based training program for emergency medicine residents. The program included high-fidelity simulations of various emergency scenarios, such as cardiac arrest, trauma, and airway management. The results were remarkable. Trained residents consistently outperformed their traditionally trained peers in real emergencies. But you don't need to be a SEAL or a surgeon to benefit. Consider Sarah, a marketing executive who used emergency conditioning before a crucial presentation to the board. She mentally rehearsed not just her slides, but also hostile questions, technical failures, and even someone walking out. When the CEO actually interrupted her mid-presentation with a challenging question, she didn't freeze. She smoothly pivoted to her pre-rehearsed response and turned the interruption into her strongest moment. Or think about Mike, a father who used emergency conditioning to prepare for potential child emergencies. When his 5-year-old son had a severe allergic reaction at a restaurant, Mike's training kicked in. He'd mentally rehearsed this exact scenario, staying calm, administering the EpiPen, calling 911, and coordinating with paramedics. What could have been a tragedy became a testament to the power of preparation, integration and mastery, building your mental arsenal. Emergency conditioning isn't a one-time exercise, it's a way of thinking. Post-training debriefs help trainees to process their actions and responses so they can correct their behaviors and thought processes, reinforce effective and positive emotions and actions, and extinguish unproductive or negative responses. Start implementing this immediately. Daily practice. Spend 10 minutes each morning mentally rehearsing your day's challenges. Visualize not just what you hope will happen, but what you'll do if things go sideways. Weekly deep dives. Choose one significant upcoming challenge each week and give it the full emergency conditioning treatment. Research, visualize, rehearse, adapt. Monthly scenario. Updates. As your life changes, update your emergency scenarios. New job, new emergencies to condition for. New relationship, new conversations to rehearse. Remember, when things inevitably go wrong and fatigue kicks in, they fall back on their visualization and training. The most powerful realization about emergency conditioning is this: you're already doing it. Your brain is constantly running scenarios and preparing for the future. The difference is whether you're directing this process consciously or letting your anxiety run wild with worst-case fantasies. Navy SEALs have simply systematized what your brain already wants to do. They've turned mental rehearsal from a random anxiety generator into a precision tool for peak performance. The next time you face an unexpected crisis, you'll have two choices: panic because it's unfamiliar, or perform because you've made it familiar. Navy SEALs choose performance, not because they're superhuman, but because they've learned to make the unknown known, one scenario at a time. Your imagination isn't just for entertainment, it's your most powerful training ground. The question isn't whether you'll face emergencies. The question is, will you meet them as a stranger or as someone who's been there before? Start conditioning your mind today. Because when the real emergency comes, it won't be the first time. It'll just be the first time it's actually happening.